This happened about 4 years ago. And enough time has passed that the emotional sting is mostly gone. But the memory of it? That's burned into my brain forever. At the time, I was in what I believed was the most stable, loving relationship of my adult life. We had been together for 4 years. We were both professionals, both financially stable, both homeowners in the same neighborhood, and we both had daughters. Her daughter was 11 when we met. Mine was 16. Our lives blended together naturally. Weekend dinners, family movie nights, school events, holidays. It felt real. Not like dating. Like building something permanent. We talked about marriage. We talked about the future. Eventually, those conversations turned into real plans. We were going to sell our houses and build a new one together. There was an important reason for that. She had recently been diagnosed with a neurological condition that doctors believed would eventually put her in a wheelchair. So the house we were designing had to be ADA-friendly. Wide hallways, accessible bathrooms, everything planned for long-term mobility. And honestly, I didn't hesitate. If anything, it made me more committed. Because when you love someone, you don't plan life around the easy years. You plan for all of it. While we were planning the new house, I started working on her current one. I ran a small construction and landscaping side business, so I handled upgrades to increase the home's resale value. New landscaping, structural work, outdoor upgrades, all legitimate projects. Everything documented through my business. Invoices written for every job. The agreement was simple. I'd be paid when the house sold. By the time everything was done, I had invested about $30,000 worth of work into that house. But I didn't worry about it. We were about to build a life together. Then everything changed. About 6 months into the house planning process, I started feeling sick. At first it was subtle. Then it got worse. I couldn't eat without vomiting. Then there was blood. My stomach started swelling in a way that didn't make sense. We were both gym people. Clean eaters. Health conscious. Something was wrong. So I went to the doctor. Tests began. Blood work. Scans. Specialists. Weeks passed. Then finally, the biopsy results came back. I had a tumor in my stomach the size of a golf ball. Cancer. And just like that, my life turned into hospital appointments, treatment schedules, and chemotherapy. Chemo is exactly as brutal as people say. It drains you. Your body feels like it's constantly fighting itself. Some days I couldn't even stand long enough to take a shower. During this time, she stepped in to help. At least at first. She started staying at my house more often, helping around the place, driving me to treatments. Her daughter and mine spent time together. It almost felt like we were already living together. So eventually I suggested something practical. I said maybe we should just sell one of our houses now and move in together temporarily until the new one was built. I had good supplemental insurance and a long-term illness plan. Financially, we'd be okay. It would also reduce stress on her, since she had recently taken a $20,000 pay cut at work due to cognitive issues related to her illness. The plan made sense. At least, I thought it did. Because shortly after that conversation, something changed. She became distant. Suddenly, her daughter stopped coming over. She had excuses every weekend. Then she stopped driving me to treatments. Then she stopped staying over. I kept telling myself she was overwhelmed, scared, dealing with her own health issues. I tried to be understanding. Then one afternoon, my phone buzzed. It was a text message from her. I still remember the exact words. "I love you, but I can't see myself taking care of someone this sick long-term. I don't think we should see each other anymore." A text. 4 years. Future plans. Marriage discussions. And it ended with a text message. I won't pretend that didn't destroy me. Because it did. My wife had died years earlier when my kids were just toddlers. This was the first time since then that I had allowed myself to fully trust someone again. And just like that, gone. But I tried to be mature about it. I told myself maybe she was scared. Maybe it was too much for her. So the next day, I calmly packed up all her belongings from my house. Clothes, personal items, everything. I loaded the boxes into my truck and drove to her place while she was at work. I figured it would avoid an awkward confrontation. I walked around to the back porch and started setting the boxes down. That's when I heard something. Laughter. Coming from inside the house. Through the glass door I could see into the living room. And what I saw next made my stomach drop harder than any chemo ever had. She was on the couch, having sex, with a man she had introduced to me as her lifelong friend. A guy I had shared dinners with, drinks with. We had even gone on vacation with him and his girlfriend. And there they were, in her living room, while I stood outside holding a cardboard box full of her clothes. For a moment my mind just went blank. I quietly set the box down, walked back to my truck, and left. I never confronted her, never mentioned it. Later that day, I simply texted and told her I'd leave the rest of her belongings on my porch for pickup. And that was the end of it. Or so I thought. About 8 or 9 months later, I ran into the guy's now ex-girlfriend. Turns out, they had broken up.
Why?
Because he confessed he had been sleeping with my ex. 4 months. Since around the time we were finalizing the blueprints for our house. That's when something inside me changed. Up until that point, I had tried to accept things. Tried to move on peacefully. But hearing that flipped a switch. Because suddenly it wasn't just abandonment. It was betrayal. Calculated betrayal. And that's when I remembered something. While going through old paperwork one afternoon, I found the file. The one containing all the invoices from the work I did on her house. Every project. Every receipt. Total amount owed. $32,680. And those invoices were now 19 months overdue. I stared at that number for a long time. Then I called my attorney. Within days, we began lien proceedings against the property. And the timing couldn't have been more perfect. Because guess what? She was just about to put the house on the market. The house went up for sale. The lien had to be resolved before the transaction could close. That meant every dollar owed to me, plus interest, plus legal fees, had to be paid first. By the time everything was calculated, the total was massive. When the house finally sold and all debts were settled, she walked away with about $10,000. That's it. $10,000. Not nearly enough for the new house she had already planned to buy. The purchase collapsed. She had to cancel the deal. And eventually she ended up moving in with her oldest daughter, son-in-law, and 2 grandchildren. Her job situation deteriorated soon after, and she eventually went on disability. About a year later, I ran into her by accident. She was in a wheelchair, and she looked exhausted, older than I remembered. We spoke politely for a few minutes. Then I left. A week later she called, apologizing for how she ended things. Then the texts started. Weeks of them. Eventually she asked a question. Do you think we could ever rekindle what we had? I stared at that message for a long time. Then I replied, I can't see myself taking care of someone so sick long-term. And then I added one more line. Remember the box on your back porch? Did you think your lifelong friend brought that from my house? Then I sent one final message. Good luck to you. Goodbye. And that was the last conversation we ever had. Reflective wrap-up. Sometimes I feel a little guilt about it. But not often. Because when life got difficult, I was ready to stand beside her. She chose betrayal instead. And sometimes karma doesn't arrive on its own. Sometimes, you just have to mail it an invoice. Outro call to action. If this story shocked you, or gave you a little sense of justice, make sure you like the video. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done in this situation? Would you have forgiven her, or done the same thing? And of course, subscribe for more unbelievable Reddit revenge stories. Because, trust me, this one isn't even close to the wildest.